Game loaded.
Hi, and welcome to an edition of Lessons Learned with your host, Rafael Pinheiro. I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm sorry, I've been very busy with other projects, mainly the podcast. But, it's a new month, so we need new videos. And also be playing a lot of Stardew Valley. Yeah, it's addictive as hell. Anyway, we're not going to be talking so much about Stardew Valley, although the video you're seeing is from that game. We're going to be talking about VR. Now, if you listen to the first adopters, the people in the tech industry, video game reviewers and critics, this is going to be the year of VR. It's the next big thing. It's bigger than ever. It's going to be awesome. You play and you feel like in a new world or different world, so immersive, etc., etc., etc. But that doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful. Now, when people say, well, maybe because some of the headsets have problems with manufacturing, have delays, etc., I don't think that's going to be the problem. The problem is more of approach. The problem is how the audience sees the product. Again, if you listen to the first adopters, if you listen to the people in the tech industry and the game reviewers, they're going to be talking about displays, right? This is just another way of seeing a game, another display. So the price for it, anywhere between $400 to $700, and I'm not counting that idea of either putting a carton box on your face or strapping a cell phone to your face. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with true VR. Well, if you think of it as, a display device, a monitor, a TV, sounds pretty good, right? I mean, a TV right now, a good smart TV with most of the trimmings can cost you anywhere between $200 to $1,000. So spending $700 for another TV of sorts, once it goes on your head, and gives you VR, right? Virtual reality. Well, it sounds pretty good, right? Monitors are not that expensive, but you can spend $150, $200, $300 on a monitor. Very easy. Or you can spend up to $900 if you buy multiple monitors, especially if you're on Twitch or doing some kind of gaming online, right? So again, spending somewhere between $500 to $1,000 on a display device doesn't sound like a bad idea. But there's another way of seeing the VR headset, and that is as a peripheral. And as you see it as a peripheral, that price point looks very different. First of all, there's a long history of peripherals just failing. I mean, a ton of peripherals that sounded cool and never made it for gaming, for computers in general, etc. Many others have been successful at some point and either slid back to being niche products or never got out of the niche product box. Very few of them became very successful. I think the reason is how we look at peripherals. Peripherals is something that you attach to the main device, but it is not the main device. Peripheral is something like a keyboard, a mouse, an input device, a storage device, an extra storage device, that sort of thing, right? And when you look at it that way, spending $400 to say $800 for an extra thing you might not really need, an attachment of sorts, that sounds like a lot of money. Right now, the current generation of consoles really can't handle VR. That's why one of the reasons why people are talking about the Xbox 1.5 and the PlayStation 4.5. And even if you have a beefy computer, you may still have to upgrade and spend a couple $100 more to make sure that the graphic cards and the memory and all that can actually use VR. Not only as it stands right now, but it might be in 6 months to a year to 18 months. And if you don't have a powerful, gaming PC, you may have to either upgrade the one you have or buy a new one. That could cost you, depending on where you're looking for, anywhere, again, $400 to $800. And that's not counting the price of the VR headset, which means you can easily double your price. If you say, I have to buy a new console just to use VR, and consoles run around $500, a brand new one, and I spend another $500 on just a VR headset that costs $1,000, $800 for a new PC, and $700 for headset. You see, it kind of reminds me of the era of motion controls. When the Wii U came out, it was like, motion controls are not going to be big, whatever. But they were. and they were very successful. However, they were successful in a way that a lot of people in other companies didn't realize. What made the Wii successful was that an emotion control, first of all, it was a low price, about $200 for the machine when it came out. And second, it had a lot of party games and family games. So the motion controls were pretty good for people who wanted to do essentially mundane things like, throwing a baseball or rolling a bowling ball, that sort of thing, or jumping around doing jumping jacks and what have you. People who didn't want to learn or couldn't really understand the way around a gamepad, for example, or a keyboard and mouse. For them, it was great. But translating those kinds of controls to motion controls proved very difficult. In fact, when Microsoft hit it off with the Kinect, the games that were successful were the games that follow the same pattern: party games and family games that use very simple, motion controls like dancing, stuff like that. But when they try to use it for other games, most people ignore them. And when they try to build an entire system around it, the Xbox One, at least they claim they built around it, what people understood it was that this peripheral jacked up the price of the gaming device that they wanted to play with by $100. And without it, in fact, not only didn't want it because it was intrusive and unnecessary for most games anyway, most people didn't use it, even though Kinect proved to be successful on its own. And the machine underneath, the core product, was underpowered compared to both PCs and their direct competition, the PlayStation 4. So even a successful idea can then sort of slid back into being a niche product. So again, for the early adopters and the people in the tech industry who have easy access to this stuff and their barrier to entry is low or non-existent, no problem. But for the average person on the street who needs more than just, this looks cool to buy, forking off something that can anywhere double the price of what they already have, it's a bit iffy. Especially again if they see it as a peripheral. So let me conclude with this image, if I may. You're walking, through the mall on Christmas. You see someone messing around in a toy store or an electronics store with a VR headset. If you think of it as a display device, like a television, you're like, oh, well, that price. You look at the price and go like, I'm going to check it out because it seems pretty reasonable. But again, if you see it as a peripheral, as an accessory to your main devices, such as your television, your video game console, and your computer, you're probably going to think something like this. Wow, that looks cool. I may check it out one day, but not today. As always, if you like this or any of my videos on my channel, please comment and subscribe, and we shall see you when we see you. Good night.